recently Supreme Court of India has come out with a verdict. I think it's more than a week back on the permanent establishment issue basically, and it's arising out of expatriate visit, the issues of fixed place PE, and the issues of royalty and FTS, and all these certain international tax aspects have been alleged by the revenue, defended by the assessee, the Hyatt hotels, and finally Supreme Court has come to some conclusion which actually gave some kind of sleepless nights immediately when anyone like me saw that judgment without reading it. I thought it's imperative as a tax leader for some MNC to go through these judgments, to analyze it, to see that what Supreme Court has said. Because judgments of Supreme Court, we all know, are the law of the land. Something which is not written under the Income Tax Act, under the DTAA, Supreme Court or High Courts analyze that, and the judgment of Supreme Court become the law of the land. It's very important we analyze the judgment. We see that what Supreme Court has said in that judgment, but I've been trying to do it for a week's time. As I mentioned in my past video, that it's very difficult for me these days to spend my time or spare my time other than the adventure activity. So I thought, let me start with it. The announcement what I made on last Diwali, it would be close to 8 months now. But thought, let me start with this now. Let me make an analysis along with the adventure. It's Sunday today, and I am here with my boys who take care of my horses. I'm here with them in a very small forest cover, and so we'll do some adventure activity here. We'll do some short horse races, some kind of trotting, cantering in the forest, and after that we'll make an analysis of 5 to 10 minutes what Supreme Court has said, what are the important do's and don'ts, what a multinational company should ensure that it does not fall under the ambit of a PE, does not pay excessive taxes in India, but at the very same time abide by the law of the country. So, yeah. No. So, चले adventure के ऊपर नेपाल, Zenyatta, Brandy. So we are going to start with our adventure activity today for the first time along with taxes, with Zenyatta, which is the black horse, and with Brandy, which is my brown horse. And Zenyatta just want to gallop, but we won't let it do. Now we are going to have a race of our two horses, the wild Zenyatta and my favorite Brandy. I am a new learner in this field, so Zenyatta will go first. Come on, start! Go! और ये जेनियाटा एज यूजुअल फर्स्ट आई है और ब्रांडी सेकंड आई है, लेकिन उसमें कोई नहीं ब्रांडी तो मुझे बढ़िया लगा है। तब रेस्ट करेंगे घोड़ों के साथ 5 मिनट का रेस्ट, उसके बाद में हम now we'll take a rest for 5 minutes and after that we'll analyze the judgment of the Supreme Court, which is the second prime purpose of the day. The first prime purpose is already solved, racing between Brandy and Zenyatta and about a bit roaming in the wild. Rest for 5 minutes. 5 minute rest करो, उतर जाओ। Zenyatta I'm actually very tired, not sure what kind of analysis I'll be able to make, but let me give it a good start. Let us analyze the Supreme Court judgment. There is a very interesting agreement which Hayat Dubai, which is the not sure about the hierarchy, but that Hayat has entered into with Hayat India. Let me call it the foreign company and the Indian company. The foreign company has entered into an agreement with the Indian company, which is a strategic oversight service agreement. The purpose of this agreement, as stated by the assessee, is that it is required to provide strategic planning services and know-how to ensure that the hotel was developed and operated as an efficient and a high-quality international good service hotel. This agreement is actually, if you just look into this language, what the assessee has put up, it clearly speaks up the way a foreign company enters into an oversight agreement with the Indian entity, which is a subsidiary or a group company. Those agreements are very much required so that the business what the Indian company carries out in India is in accordance with the international standards and the group's brand identity also gets maintained. This is a very important aspect which we have to note. Moving ahead to certain other facts in the case, what assessee has said, because primarily the contention of the department, the final verdict of the Supreme Court is that basically there is a permanent establishment in India under Article 5 of the DTAA. Now, what are the contentions of the assessee, that why there is no P? Let's just look into that. I'm scrolling down because I'm just reading out some of my analysis points. So, there is no designated space or office at the hotel premises in Delhi or Mumbai that was neither specifically reserved or which was at the disposal of the appellant. So, there is no place of business which is at the disposal of the appellant, no part of the hotel or office of the Indian entity. The foreign company has exercised no control or dominion over any part of the premises. Mere involvement in policy decisions or enforcement of brand standards does not amount to a fixed place PE of the foreign company in India. Ownership and operational control of the hotel has always remained with the Indian entity. So the arrangement has been typically the way the Indian hotel company enters into an agreement with the property owner. The property owner and the Indian hotel owning entity runs the hotel. So the very same point has been emphasized or highlighted by the assessee in the case. Role of appellant was very much limited to the strategic guidance, brand compliance and long-term planning, what we just now mentioned, that of course it is required that the foreign company needs to exercise some kind of standard. It exercises some kind of policy so that the standards of the international group are maintained. Day-to-day operations were carried out by the Indian company only. There was no involvement in the daily management of the foreign company. There are just two agreements. The first agreement is of course for the brand compliance, strategic guidance, which is of course required being a foreign company. So these are the brief arguments what the assessee has put up. Coming to the employee visit, because the second important aspect what has been highlighted in this case is, apart from the first one that the place is at disposal, the second important aspect is that there has been employee visits, recurring employee visits of the foreign company which is happening in India, and those employees are occupying the place or the office premises of the Indian entity. What assessee has to say on the employee visit? 6 employees of the appellant visited India and stayed at the hotel premises during the relevant years. These visits, however, were brief and routine in nature, and the same executive has visited different parts of the country. These were called oversight visits and were intended to ensure the brand uniformity and quality compliance, what we were also emphasizing, The short duration spread across multiple locations and lack of exclusive use or control over any space do not satisfy the legal requirement of a fixed place of business of a group. They are saying these are very short duration visits, right? The places are also not fixed, so it does not specify the criteria under the article. And also department has failed to produce the documentary evidence to establish that any such designated space was ever placed at the disposal of the appellant. So the sole contention of the appellant here is, of the foreign companies, of course the employees have visited India, but the visits had been of very short duration. It does not cross the threshold which is provided under the DTAA. The employees have not occupied any place of office to be called as place of business under the DTAA, and hence the question of PE does not arise. Even the activities what the employees carry out is just in the nature of oversight activity, which is required to ensure brand compliance, some kind of strategic guidance what a foreign company should provide. In view of all these facts, the contention of the foreign company or the assessee is it does not have a PE in India, and hence it is not taxable in India at all. Another important aspect which the assessee has highlighted is that there is an express prohibition on decision making under the agreement what the assessee has entered with the Indian entity. What is that? It is saying that there is an express prohibition in the agreement on decision making on appellant's employees during their stay in the hotel implies the right of disposal. So when the employees of the foreign company are visiting India, they are occupying the office. They are basically, of course, where will they sit? They are based out of the office of the Indian entity, their group company. But it's being said that the service level agreement contains express prohibition that they cannot take any decision on the business which is being run in India. So there is a clear prohibition. Out of this prohibition, the question of allegation that the foreign company is exercising its control or running out of business in India does not arise at all. Let us look into the points which are essential here, which enabled or basically made High Court and then Supreme Court to say that there is a PE in India. There are different clauses or articles in the agreement. One of the important article here is, which is the most important, which I feel is that the hotel owner, that is the property owner which is there in India, which owns the hotel, if it has to basically apply for any financial assistance in India, like applying for any loans in India for the purpose of some addition to the property, any kind of refurbishment, anything what it has to do concerning the hotel property, then it is required to seek approval from the foreign company. This provision primarily ensures that the foreign company realizes its fees or the earnings in India without any disturbance, and it has some kind of control over this aspect as well of its earning capability out of the hotel in India. So we can say that the foreign company has a direct say in the title of the hotel itself. So at one point of time, at one place, we just now saw that assessee has contended that foreign company does not have any kind of role to play regarding the business in India. But now when we dwell a bit into what the judiciary has analyzed, we see that foreign company is having a direct say or kind of control over the earning of revenues by the Indian entity, because if someone goes for the financial assistance, it has to seek approval, it has a direct control over it. There is no, we can safely say that this is a very right position what has been brought to light. Another important section in the agreement says that the assessee is vested with complete control and discretion in formulating and establishing the strategic plan for all aspects of hotel operations, including branding, marketing, product development, and daily operations. If we just look into this clause, we don't get a feel that it's just a strategic oversight. It is having a complete control. Looking into another section empowers the assessee to assign employees either on its own, of its own entity or of its affiliates to India without needing prior approval from the hotel owner or the management. The assessee is also responsible for formulating policies relating to human resources, procurement, guest admitted, use of premises, pricing, sales and marketing, and reservation. If we just look into this clause, I think this is also very important clause, that because the one of the important considerations for assigning it as a PE in India is expatriate visits to India, which most of the multinational companies does that. But when does the need for an expatriate visit to India arise? That need arises on the requirement raised by the Indian entity, that we require some kind of expertise, we require some kind of group knowledge, so kindly send out an employee to us. Instead of hiring a person from the market in India or offshore, why don't we engage a person from our parent itself, right? We have secondment arrangements to that aspect, but here there has been no secondment arrangement primarily. It's about expatriate visits to India, and for that visit, for those employees to carry out the activities in India, the agreement says that it is the prerogative of the foreign company itself. The Indian entity is not having any kind of, again, as a primary control into that activity, into that activity. So this is also an important aspect, that why we can say that the foreign company is exercising its control in India. More importantly, the foreign company is also empowered to formulate all the policies. So here it is not about strategic planning. The agreement clearly speaks that the foreign company has a right to formulate the policies relating to human resources, that is the complete employment, procurement, which is a very important aspect in the hotel industry, rules regarding the guests, basically the primarily aspect of a hotel, how the premises are required to be used. At one point of time, the Indian entity is saying, or the its group company in India is saying that we are dealing with the property owner, but how the premises is to be used will be governed by the foreign company, right? Pricing, sales, marketing, promotion, everything is being, if it is being determined by the assessee, by the foreign company, then how can one say that the foreign company is not running out of business in India? These are important aspects.